welcome to the first part of our 2024 travel. Yay! We are starting our travel this year in Scotland, and I want to show you some of my most favorite parts of Scotland that I found. Now, if you haven't guessed yet, we're in Edinburgh. Yay! Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland, and to show you some really cool stuff, we're first gonna go up the Scotsman Steps. Now, these steps are probably not the cleanest steps, as there's always remnants of the night before in here and smells of whatever happened on the night before. But they're historic, as they linked both the Old Town and the New Town together. There's 129 steps in here, I think, and they were commissioned by a really famous person to build. They're all made of marble, and as you can see here, all of the steps are different colors. Pretty cool, eh? So, Old Town and New Town is something we're going to learn about more as we explore Edinburgh over the next couple of days. Let's go explore! And after a short walk up from the Scotsman Steps, we've reached the Royal Mile. First, we are going to go into Kirk. Kirk meaning church. So this used to be an old church, and today it's used for an artesian market. And I want to show you guys how cool the inside is. So it's been redone, as the ceiling has been blown off and fallen off a couple of times. But you can see the original architecture in here, and you get to see a lot of the vendors and the craftsmen of fine wares and goods that you can purchase. Bless you. Bless you. Okay. We're gonna go over here first. Here we see some very beautiful stained glass artwork. Begin. So one thing I want you to take a look at is how tall the buildings are here. So we just climbed up the Scotsman Steps, 129 steps, I think. It's around 5 floors. If you count 20 steps, it is 1 floor. Now, if we look here on these buildings, we see another 6 to 7 layers of floors. You might ask, why are the buildings so tall in Old Town? Old Town is usually like where not tall stuff is and where really old stuff is. Well, it is really old. It's been preserved, it's been redone, but it is keeping the original architecture of how it was redone. One thing to note about Edinburgh is that long ago, there was walls surrounding the city. As all cities had walls surrounding them. As more and more people moved into the city, though, they ran out of room. So they had to build up in floors. Oh, there's an effect we'll go see in a second. So, as floors were being built up, both the bourgeoisie and the peasants lived together. And whenever people would come to visit Edinburgh, everyone was shocked that they had cohabitation of both the rich and the poor together. Now, it wasn't pure cohabitation, because the rich people lived up top, and the poor people usually lived down below or in the basements. So what we see here is like the first 6 floors, and then there's another 6 floors down below where we came in. So let's go walk up and see what this event is up here. As you may know, Edinburgh is the center of the Fringe Festival every year. The Fringe Festival is most notorious for art, musicians, comedians, buskers, and right across from the Fringe store, we see a magician doing The notorious 3-cup trick. Let's keep walking. Ah, the founder of economics, Mr. Smith himself. Thanks for my degree. So, while this old town is full of stuff we've seen in all of the other old towns we've gone in, you know, brick streets, old churches. One thing that I really like about the Edinburgh Old Town and this Royal Mile is the liveliness and the music they play. Of course there's scams, of course there's whatever around here, as there are in every part of the world. But just look how, you can't look, listen how lively it is here. And as we continue to learn more about the famous Scottish people, we run across my man David Hume, who is telling us a message, which is ironic, to stop war. Human. All too human, Mr. Hume. In front of us, we see a very old tavern. This was established in 1741. Yes, that means it's been around longer than both the United States and Canada have been a country. That's how good Scotland is at drinking. Longer than the establishment of 2 different countries. You guys, what? So, throughout Old Town in Edinburgh, we see these things called closes. And these were built to link the Old Town and New Town together. So you could go from the Old Town, obviously, to the New Town. What we're doing now is walking to the Writers' Museum. And the thing I like about this is that on the floor, there's quotes from a lot of the different famous writers in here. Walk down here. So while you can go inside and see some really old books, should we do it? You can also enjoy a lot of the authors by looking at the floor. You intend to bide here? To be sure. Can you think of anywhere better? Good question. We could go in. I mean, just look at this entryway. The porta's abierto. Let's entrevo. So the establishment we're in today was built in 1622. And then it's been refurbished over the last, obviously, hundreds and hundreds of years. Here's a little rendition of the Great Scotland Memorial, which we'll go to when the light is better for my tiny little camera to pick it up. And it wants me to mind my head. But why? I want to go over here. What are these fascinating things? Oh look, a childhood toy. We could play chess. Wear some slippers. We can see what Mr. Walter Scott's hair looked like. And if we want to steal his credit card or identity, here's his signature. So if you're after a person who's been around for a while, screenshot. wish I was tall enough to find my head. So as we keep walking through this, just imagine this as a mansion in the 1600s. This would have been massive. Now we're seeing some original works of art by Mr. Robert Burns. He was a poet who wrote a bunch in mostly the Scottish dialect. So from the outside, we see a lot of different smoking patios, hair drying patios. I mean, look how tall that is. And then after this, there's another 3 floors down below. That's huge. Okay, so let's learn about why Robert Scott is a cool thing here. So first of all, I want to point out this monument that we're standing in front of. This is a dedication to the Scottish war poets. Now, Scotland was always in wars, as a lot of countries are, that are small, that are multicultural. It was in war with the South, with the North, with the East, with the West, everything. So, during this war, as it happens, any type of violence creates art. At the time, art was created in the form of words. So poetry. Mr. Robert Scott was a famous poet. And his first couple of books that he wrote weren't actually named by him. He wrote anonymously. And then it wasn't until later in his life, when he started writing poetry, did people actually start to realize that it was him and that he claimed his work. So when he died, the whole world mourned. And that's why we see the massive Scott monument. We're getting to that, the light's not great right now for me. And a bunch of other stuff around Scotland dedicated to Mr. Walter Scott. Where we're going. We're gonna invade the castle. But don't worry, we're doing it legally. I purchased a ticket. While other castles have guards that are alive, these have been touched by the Queen of the North. I wonder if there's Turkish delight in here. We'll have to find out. Look at this, it's just built into the rock. Guys, check this out. This is a massive structure, and this is all of the map of where we're gonna go. This gate has been around since the 1500s, and this whole area is a volcanic plug. So we're literally walking on top of a volcano. This majestic rock to stare at. Guys, geology. Yay. Did you know that geology is Mother Nature's form of architecture? Yay. Dad joke. So this shadowy figure in front of us, because my camera's not adjusting, is the 1 o'clock gun. It goes off every day at 1 o'clock, except for like 3 or 4 days a year. So if you're ever in Edinburgh and hear a gunshot at 1 o'clock, now you know where it comes from. Let's go learn more about the 1 o'clock gun. Now you know, sometimes the gun has a problem, sometimes it wants a nap, but most of the time, this thing fires off. So this is a rendition of the, not a rendition, this is the old 1 o'clock gun before it got its new, sleek, aerodynamic, Tesla shape and body. Yeah, kind of looks scary. Stop war! Guys, I've escaped. So, I'm not really into war, but I kind of got into the War Museum. This is one of the biggest war museums I've seen, and if you're not into guns and swords and anything violent and dangerous, it's very intense. So just FYI, so you know. Anyway, where we're at right now is with this 10-ton giant statue of a dude that was built in 1923. We are standing in what is known as Hospital Square. So this little area and the surroundings was where all of the wounded soldiers in World War I were taken. So both like normal physical wounded, mental wounded, everything. And during this time, the 1 o'clock gun that we just saw was suspended from being shot off because it was traumatizing all of the people here who were already wounded from the war. So just imagine this area with a bunch of tents set up, a bunch of doctors, a bunch of nurses, tending to a bunch of really wounded people. Kind of crazy. War's bad, people. Stop being mean. Check this out. I like how green and moldy the stone is here. Let's look down. What is it? I can't see. So I will narrate after. Throughout this castle, there's a lot of different monuments and museums to the variety of different war and war people that Scotland has. Why? Well, over the last 400 years, war's been kind of part of the Scottish culture. Like, you know, bagpipes were part of the Scottish war call. A lot of the different plaids were part of the Scottish war thing because it designated what family you were from and if you're a good guy or if you're a baddie. So it kind of is built into the entire culture, which I find interesting. In fact, right here, we can see a Scotsman frozen in time. Guys, in the 17th and 18th century, there was a prison down here that held pirates. Let's go explore with all of these people who also want to see where the pirates were held. I think I've gone the wrong way. Hey, we escaped prison by not going in the iron gates. So these have been recreated as to what they were in 1781. Let's go up the stairs. Like Dracula's prison, Vlad the Impaler, who was held underneath the castle in Budapest, the air here is really, really humid and mucky. So if you put 100 pirates and other people in here and make them hang in these hammocks, you can only imagine how mucky the air must have been from hundreds of people who hadn't showered in a long time.
Juste un chapeau pour les dames de la ville. On a dit, il faudra des louis. Mais je ne peux pas me permettre un tel luxe
I mean, for me, just living in quarters this close to so many people, would be prison itself. Get me out of here! Here we see an old prison door with actual graffiti written by prisoners from the 1700s. Oh look, you guys can pirate this guy's life. His signature's right here. All you need is his credit card number. So that was the prison of the political prisoners who were just rude. Didn't like the politics in charge of the pirates and of other baddies. Now we're going into the military prison. This one was built in the 1800s, so it's 100 years older than what we just came into. And look what 100 years of prison innovation does. We have doors, we have cells. This guy allegedly was drunk on guard. 60 years after taking the excrement out of prisoners, we finally decided to build a toilet. So humans didn't have to do it. Innovation for the prisoners. Come to think of it though, maybe that's why the guy was drunk on guard. He just didn't like taking out prisoners' poop. I'd be drunk too. Let's go explore more of the castle. Edinburgh Castle. Castle on the floor. It's part of the oldest part of the castle, built on this awesome volcanic rock. Volcanic rock area around here is called Castle Rock. A very, very creative name. Check this out, you guys. An old stone horse. Some more really pretty stained glass. We'll go see. This is the Scottish National War Memorial. And we'll go see what it's about. I cannot film or take photographs, so I'm just gonna go in and you're gonna stay outside. Okay, so while you had to stay out here, I went in there and learned more about what the Scottish War Memorial is about. So, like many other Commonwealth countries and states and areas, Canada included, represents. This is the War Memorial that was built for those who gave their lives in World War I and World War II. Now, one of the things that's really cool about this War Memorial, I can speak one language and I can't even speak it, War Memorial, is that the names of the 200,000 people who lost their lives in World War I and World War II are in these red-bound books. And if you have a family member or a loved one that was in one of those books, you can ask for help from one of the people inside and actually go see the name and the dedication to that person. So the museum's organized in a way of like the different battalions and the different regiments. There's a place for the sailors, a place for the flyers, a place for the ground army men. It's very, very, very cool, very well done. So now we are going to go see the Scottish crown jewels. And one thing I find super cool about this area is that in front of us you can see a red light. That means do not enter. So we're just gonna go down this queue and not enter. Everything we're going in here has a gift shop. How many gifts do we need? We may be able to go inside. 23 audio guide. Yay! Oh man, no filming. Okay, see you on the other side. And this little green stoplight thing kind of lied to us. Inside it was packed, but the inside of this museum was so fantastically put together. I kind of want to go back and look at it if there's fewer people.
There was all of these old sculptures where you could see old stuff. And then as we got deeper in the hallway, we learned more about the Scottish honours and about how they were rebuilt over the last couple of years.
Wow, even my camera locked up after that one. So, right here, we see the birthplace of King James IV. Now, while the inside was really cool and there was a lot of cool displays, like one of them telling how the honors of like all of the really valuable Scottish gold and stuff were hidden in the street or somewhere for like 100 years. The bad thing is that there's so many people there. There was 3 people that was passed out because it's super hot, super stuffy, and you're like jammed right next to each other. Walking through the entire place where Queen Mary went to hide to go have King James IV. And then you finally get to see the crown jewels. Now it's pretty cool because one of the things called the Stone of Destiny is still used in inaugurations, whatever you call it when you get a new king. So whenever England got the new king last year, it was used. It goes underneath the stone where they're sworn into kingdom. So that's cool. But the rest of that place was disastrous. Zero stars. Recommend doing that one ever again. Anyway, we're out in the open air, the open, cold Scottish air. Look at this very non-Scottish flag. Let's go see what these cannons are looking at. Cannonball! Jump cut! That's cool. So when most people think of London, this is what they think of. And I am here to tell you, this is Edinburgh, not London. Surprise! You can see over here we have a couple of layers of different towns. Right now we're in Old Town. New Town is 1 level below. Newer Town is 1 level below. Newest Town is like way out in the world. They call it Newington, but hey, we're going for a little humor, guys. I'm kidding. So, recommendations on going to the castle. Would you go? Tickets are about £20, which is about 25 US dollars. So convert that into your currency of choice. At that price, for that many people, I would say the Tower of London is probably a better price, just with how they have everything routed and the variety of stuff that you see. This castle, though, I will tell you, is very Scottish. It's very dedicated to the war stuff and the war culture of Scotland. So if war and war culture and war history and seeing a bunch of different weapons, like from old time to new time and guns and that sort of stuff, interests you, this is totally a cool castle. So we are gonna go now in the midst of people and go walk down and find our next tourist activity. Hooray! Jump cut! Ever wonder what it's like to be in a bus? Now you know. Bar for the booze hound.